I was not born great, but from childhood they told me that my destiny was higher than any man's. I remember how my father looked at me with pride but also suspicion, as if he saw in me both an heir and a rival. I remember how my mother whispered to me of gods, as if she wanted to convince me that I was not merely her son, but the child of something greater. I believed and yet I doubted, but within me already burned a fire that would never let me rest. When I first mounted a horse wild and untamed, men laughed, waiting for me to fall, but I saw that the animal feared its own shadow. I turned it toward the sun and it obeyed. That day I learned, every obstacle bends if you see what others cannot. From that moment I never doubted again. My father and I were bound by something strange. He was a hero to our people, but to me, also a rival. His campaigns, his armies, his victories, I admired them, but I envied them too. When he was murdered, I did not weep. I knew now it was my turn. Greece had to bow, and it bowed. Thebes rebelled, and I erased it from the earth. Cruel, yes, but if I had allowed even one city to test my strength, my throne would have crumbled like dust. I proved it is better to fear me than to test my patience. But my true path lay further, Persia. Darius, king of kings, commanded endless wealth and armies without number. We met at the Granicus. The river boiled with hooves, the air split with cries. I fought at the front and the water turned red. That was the first crack in their empire. Then came Issus. They outnumbered us, yet I struck the heart and Darius fled, abandoning his mother, his wife, his children. I saw fear in his eyes. And if the King of Kings fears, then the world itself can be broken. I marched into Egypt and they welcomed me as a savior. There I founded a city that bears my name. The priests called me son of a god and I let them. Myths command men more than steel ever can. My greatest triumph was Gaugamela. Darius gathered everything he had. Scythed chariots, elephants, hundreds of thousands of warriors. The earth shook like the sea in a storm. But I knew it is not numbers that decide, but resolve. I tore through their line, struck at the very heart, and again Darius fled. Then Persia fell. I sat on his throne in his palaces, in Babylon itself, and the crowds hailed me. But inside I felt only emptiness. Every victory fed not peace but hunger. I pushed further and further and further through mountains, deserts, rivers. India rose before us with rains, forests, and elephants. At the Hydaspes I faced King Porus. He was brave, he was noble, and even in defeat he stood with dignity. I respected him and I left him his kingdom. But my men were weary. In their eyes I saw no more fire. They refused to go on. I wished to, but they could not. And in that moment I understood. Even I am not lord over human limits. Yet what tormented me most was not enemies, not battles, not betrayal. It was time. I felt it pursuing me. I feared to die before conquering all. I feared to be remembered only as another king among kings and not as the one whose name would outlive centuries. I drank to silence this fear. I punished friends when I saw doubt in their eyes. I built cities to carve my mark into the earth. I loved, I lost, yet I always remained alone. They say I was ruthless. They say I was merciless, yes. But I was also a man who did not know how to stop. I wanted to hold the world in my hands, yet the world always slips away. And when night falls, I ask myself, did I lead men to glory or to the abyss? The answer never comes. Now you call me great. But I know the truth. Greatness is both glory and curse. I was a king, a commander, a myth in my own lifetime. I was the man who walked farther than anyone was meant to walk. I am Alexander the Great,